Hi folks, so finally back for another update on the Reefer 250. It's been about a month or so now since I've done an update. I thought I'd just give it a little bit longer. So it's been a whole month since the last one, and lots has been going on with it. I trust everyone's had a good Christmas and a happy New Year to everyone that subscribes to the channel. We've just cracked, I think New Year's Day, I think it just cracked 1,000 subscribers, and we're on our way to nearly 1,100 now. So thanks for subscribing, thanks for all your comments, and lots of you guys mentioning me in other videos that you're doing, which is great. Thanks for that. I will go through this, probably be quite a long video, so I will go through any questions. There's lots of questions on my last video underneath, so I'll try and get through as many of them as I can. Probably have to do it in two parts, this video. I think you get about 30 minutes of these YouTube videos. So the first part I'll just go through everything that's been happening with the tank, and obviously the second part, like I usually do, is go through all the questions and stuff. So where do I start? We've had a bit of the tank is now, I think we were a week off 6 months from the very start. Yeah, I think by the 1st of February it will be 6 months, so what, a week or so's time. So this officially be the 6th month marker on the system, and it went through, or has been going through a bit of a dip. Like I say, the tank's always been going so good every video I do, but what it started, you probably noticed if you've seen all these videos. In my last video, things were not going great with a few of my SPS corals, and you know, a few problems with macroalgae and stuff, so I'll go through that. But I think, you know, I test this tank religiously for all parameters, and you know, you try and keep it as best you can, everything in a sweet spot. But you know, the livestock will tell you if things aren't faring well, that you know that something's adrift. Now obviously I test it so much, all parameters are really good. There's other things that come into play, and things we don't test for. I mean, the elements in the water, in the salt mix, there's lots of elements we don't test for, and over a period of time, let's say the tank's nearly 6 months in now, and these elements can be depleted. So you put in a maintenance routine. This tank's running at 10% water change every week. You know, and if there's a certain element that's being used down quicker than that, then obviously signs can start showing in coral health and fish health, whatever. Anyway, so what I did notice, I'll go through each coral and tell you, but what I did notice is all of a sudden growth started to slow right down. I always had really good growth on everything, especially these new SPS frags. So this one here, this green Hystrix ceratopora, when I first put it in, if you look back through the videos, you'll see it is, you know, a very small frag, and generally I put it in every week's loads of growth. And let me just get rid of that notification. There you go. Yeah, every week notice new growth, so it's really erupting, new fresh white tipped growth, you know, almost watch it daily growing. Then it slowed right down, and it started going really sort of pale, lost its sort of colour, especially down the bottom, really pale. And as with this pink Hystrix ceratopora, this was going really pale in the centre and sort of stripping from, you know, the base upwards, losing its colour, going very white. Branches are sort of reaching downwards, growing downwards as opposed to up. Yeah, and my Stylophora, my purple Stylophora, you can always tell with this light, it's a bit bright really, but this was really going pale and really stopped growing. So that's been steady growth from the start, but it's slowed right down to almost stop growing and going really pale. All the polyps gone from purple to almost white. Everything else okay. The acro here, this barley slimer, has been sort of steadily growing well from the start. Not any interruptions really with their growth on that. As with the plating Montipora slowly but steady growth. The Elkhorn Montipora, that's really growing, but the branches seem to be sort of growing out and a little bit curling downwards. So what, the trick is you got to try and work out what's going on. Why are these corals all of a sudden not faring well? So you've got to start experimenting with changing things. Well, where do you start? What I did have is, in my area, I come from Bexhill, there's a Maidenhead Aquatics in Bexhill. Well, I think it's under Hastings, it's Maidenhead Hastings, it's registered under. And there's a couple of people down there, the manager Alan and Polly that works there, girl called Polly. Really, really helpful, really knowledgeable as well. And Polly did mention about maybe my lights were, on too high intensity for too long, hence why I'm losing a little bit of colour. Maybe it's too much light. So that's one of the things I looked into doing. Is I raised the Kessel lights up a little bit and only running on my maximum sort of 60% intensity through the day, as opposed to 100. So that's one of the things I changed. I also, my suspicions, I said before, is whether the system's running too clean. And I think that's another factor as well. I think basically what it is too much light, perfect water parameters, i.e. alkalinity nice and high, calcium nice and high, magnesium all in check, all balanced nicely and stable. Really high lighting, obviously really intense lighting for long periods of time, but there's not a great deal of nutrients in the system. So I'm always testing the nitrate and phosphate, always getting 0 on Salifert test kits. 0, never seen a reading of them at all. Initially, obviously after cycling, and then dropped to 0 and then nothing. So I almost think that the corals are sort of striving for food and starving out basically. So all that light, all the high alkalinity, high calcium is all set, the system's set for good growth, but if they've got no nutrition to work with, because I don't feed them at all, I think that's what the problem has been. Basically it's been starving themselves out. That's why we lost the colour. This pink Hystrix Ceratopora, it looks in bad shape at the moment. We've even got some of that cotton candy growing on it, which is never a good sign on an SPS coral when you've got any other type of algae growing on it. You see it down the bottom, near the base of the coral. Well, that's where the flesh had stripped and started going pure white. Of course, it's got a hold there. The rest of the coral is, it's not doing great, but it's starting to grow again. These white tips starting to erupt out of it. So I don't think we've lost it. I don't think it's definitely not dead. I'm hoping it'll come back, and I have high hopes of it. Because what I've done is to experiment. The first thing I wanted to do is obviously I adjusted the lighting, like Polly said. So I've done that. What I also did is I did a series of water changes. I did basically 7 days worth of 10% every single day, and that's not to get rid of anything in the water column or reduce nitrate or anything like that, because obviously, as you know, I've just said that everything's at 0. It's basically to replenish any trace elements that might be lacking, that might have been depleted over this 6 months. So I've done that, reduced the lighting a little bit. And feeding wise, I think the system is really efficient. It's got a huge great protein skimmer. I'm very religious with changing my filter socks, cleaning the skimmer carp and whatnot. So I thought I can afford to feed more as well. So that will hopefully try and put a bit more nutrients in the water to feed the corals. Now, doing all that, the results are everything's starting to pick back up again. what one single thing or a combination of things it is that's made it go better, I don't know yet. That's the fun thing with this hobby. It's if it was easy, it would be no fun. But yeah, things are definitely picking back up again there. That's another thing as well. I noticed my coralline algae on the back had stopped growing as well. And that's starting to regenerate and regrow again. So we're definitely back on track with everything. Say the corals are starting to look more colourful, more colours coming back by the day. So yeah, whatever I've changed, and I've changed a lot as I've just said, has definitely made a difference. And I think it's a combination of like I said, the system was running too clean. You know, I used to twice a week, or at least once a week, before the water change, you know, turkey base to blow through the sand, blow through the rocks, no detritus in there whatsoever, get it all out. You know, not feeding mad, high intensity of light, long period of time, and there's hardly any nutrition in the system at all. And I think the corals started starving out. So yeah, we're back on track. Everything's looking good. Fish stock, they're all really healthy and fat. So you can see my mimic tang is definitely growing. Hasn't changed in colour yet. They're hiding away, doesn't like the camera. Yeah, everything's fish stock wise really healthy. Right, so the other problem I had was macroalgae, and the main one being this pink cotton candy algae that I mentioned in my last video, becoming a real problem. It was literally spreading everywhere. And I know there's going to be someone pop up and say, well, the reason you've got loads of microalgae in there is because there's got to be some nutrients in the system, otherwise, you know, hiding, you know, making your test results zero. Yeah, you're right, but you know, they wouldn't give a false reading to the point where I'm getting zero all the time. If there was a nitrate or nutrients problem in this system, it would show in the water column when you test. And if I'm testing zero, there's such little amount, it's not even showing on the kit. So anyway, this pink macroalgae, cotton candy stuff they look at, so if you ever get this, you've got to deal with it because it spreads really quick throughout the whole tank. I mean, within a month it's just fragmenting and it's popping up on every single piece of rock. Let's try and find some here. Now I've addressed it, like I said in my last video, what I was going to do, what I planned to do, and I've done that. I ordered from H2O Aquatics. I just couldn't find these Mexican turbo snails. There's one here right in front of the camera on that rock there. Huge, about the size of a golf ball. Ordered 3 of those. You can't find them anywhere in my local stores anyway. Just don't stock them. If they do stock them, they go out of stock really quick. But I've never seen them anyway, so I had to order them online. Don't like ordering livestock online, but went on to H2O Aquatics. Next day delivery, livestock delivery, 412, APC courier. Ordered 4 Mexican turbo cells. They arrived, opened the bag stank like one of them's died. So anyway, I put all 4 in, and yeah, identified the one that wasn't moving at all, and it's sort of like white gunky stuff coming out of it. So I had that one out. So I'm left with 3, and them 3 have been in there, what, 2 weeks? Yeah, roughly 2 weeks. And man, these turbo snails, Mexican turbo snails, not any other turbo snail or any other type of snail, it has to be a Mexican turbo snails. They are awesome. They've literally, immediately after the first night, started munching on this cotton candy. This rock here in front of us was covered in it. Literally, you couldn't even see the rock. And with this one, all around that star polyp, you couldn't see the rock at all. It's just all pink cotton candy algae. As you can see, it's all gone. And only 2 weeks in, they've probably got rid of 80% of it already, and they are still munching on it. Now, whatever's left, so I've still got to deal with this end of this tip of the rock here. But this one here, so yesterday, that whole area around it was loads of fluffy cotton candy algae. It's all gone. So at night he's worked through that lot. Not sure where the other 2 are actually, probably around on this side. There's still some kicking around here, but there's one down there. Oh, there's two down there actually. Yeah. So, just excuse my dog's barking. Just pause the video for 2 secs. Apologies for that. Just shut my dogs up barking at the postman. Right, yeah, sorry, yeah, Mexican turbo snails. If you ever got any problem with algae in here in your tank, just get a couple of 3 of those. So this is 250 litres. Let's say ordered 4. One was dead on arrival. So these three are really coping with it well. So they're just munching through it on there. Do you know what? They're even eating the red macro algae as well, which is, I'll zoom in on it, this wiry red hairy stuff. I mean, there's loads still in here. So they've got lots of weeks worth or months worth of feeding. And when this lot's all cleaned up, God knows what they're going to feed on. You know, that's the other issue I've got, is they might run out of food, but we'll see. So now I can definitely afford to sort of feed heavy now, get the nutrients up in the system. I think the trick with it is to get lots of nutrients in the system, so the corals can feed, and the fish and everything, and every organism in there feeds well. But then have the system set up, which I have, where it doesn't kick around for longer than an hour or so. It all gets stripped out through the filter socks, heavy skimming, so you don't get any build up of nitrates over a period of time. I mean, I'm hoping to get a reading of nitrate. You know, I'd like to see 1, 2, 3 parts per million constant, so that at least I know that there's enough nutrients in the system for the corals. But we'll see how that goes over the next few months. But yeah, everything's going really, really well. Down in the sub, I did have a little bit of a problem the other day. So it's been cold this past, 4 or 5 days or so. And come down in the morning, the first thing I do is open this door and I check the temperature every morning, just to double check it's at 26 degrees. And what I did have is a big digital heater down the bottom, and this TMC digital heater, it's only 100 watts just for a backup. And I noticed that both readings on both the heaters were showing 23 degrees, which the large heater was a 300 watt heater. There's no way, even on a cold night, that should allow it to go down sort of 3-4 degrees. So I was like, right, something's wrong. So one of these heaters isn't working, or the main heater is probably not working, although it's showing on and switched on. Put my hand around it, no heat coming off it. You couldn't see any heat coming off it. So I don't know what went wrong. Obviously something's gone wrong with it. It's popped inside or whatever. So luckily Alan at Maidenhead Hastings, he sorted me out with 2 replacement 300 watt heaters. Now they're not digital, they're analog ones. You can see one at the front here and one at the back. The reason I've put both of them in here is because I wanted to get the temperature back up to 26 again, and I need one just as a backup, just in case. And I've put one in a really high flow area where it overflows to the return pump there, and another one here at the front, so I can sort of keep an eye on what's going on with it. Now I have set them, initially I set them both up for 26 degrees on the little gauges there, and they come on. You can see that one on the back, the orange light's on. They come on, they don't stay on for long, and they switch themselves back off again. And the tank wasn't coming up to temperature, it was staying around 24-25 degrees. So yeah, this morning I come down and the temperature was 24 degrees again. I know it was a cold night, so I've just turned them up to, I think they're around 29-30 degrees on both of them now, and it's only just gone to 26 degrees, only just. I might back them off a little bit, but I just don't understand why they keep turning themselves on and off. Why don't they just stay on until they're up to temperature? I think it's just because that's the way them analog heaters work. They're sort of designed just to keep the temperature sort of just topping up, as opposed to continually on. I think it's like a safety thing in them. I don't like them, to be honest, these analog heaters, so I don't know what I'm going to do. I need to get another large 300 watt digital heater in here that comes on. I like these TMC ones actually, because when whatever you set this to, let's say you set it at 26 degrees, if it drops below 26 degrees, a little orange light comes on here and it stays on heating until it reaches that temperature. That's what I like about this one. Let me just get rid of that notification again. So yeah, I'd probably go for, I think TMC do a 300 watt version of this one. This is only 100. Probably go for one of those because they've been really reliable. This one in here and there is from my old tank, I think. But yeah, they've proven to be reliable, so I think I might go for one of those. So that's the heater problem sorted. The other thing as well I did notice, actually, yeah, my skimmer, my Deltec skimmer failed as well, and that is because I was due. The plan was to do, once the tank hit 6 months, is to do a clean on all the pumps, do a vinegar dip on them and clean them all out. But my skimmer beat me. My skimmer pump beat me to it. I just reduced the flow on it one day. I was just messing around with it, just adjusting, and the pump just suddenly stopped. Oh, great! That was just after the heater problem as well. So, I've got to sort this out now. So I think I knew what it was. I thought I've reduced the flow on the pump, reduced the power down, and it's just sort of giving up the ghost. Got wedged, too much carbonate build up inside, most probably. So I had it all apart. First time I had it all apart. Brilliant skimmers these are, really efficient. They come apart so easy, no special tools required. You just literally undo one bolt at the end, pull the intake off, and the whole lot comes apart, and you can just slide a pump out. It's so easy to clean. So yeah, vinegar dipped that for half an hour or so, give it a good clean up inside. Wasn't too bad inside, it's a little bit of hard carbonate build up inside, not too much, obviously enough to stop it working. So put it all back together and it's been back to new again, perfect. I also did all the wave pumps, all the wave machine pumps, they were all out, vinegar dipped for a few hours and all cleaned back up to brand new again. And I also did the main wave line return pump. So they weren't too bad inside, to be honest, considering I'm running such high alkalinity and high calcium. They weren't as bad as I thought. It's like this one now, this heater, it's just come back on. It'll go back off again soon, but they're set at 30 degrees. You think, because they're set at 30 degrees, they just stay on until the tank water around them stays to 30, gets to 30, but yeah, back onto pumps. Yeah, all the pumps in this system now are cleaned back to new again, so it should be set for. I'm probably going to do that every 3 months, clean the pumps. You get one fail, it's a right pain in the butt. So yeah, what else we got? Dosing system, it's going fine. Yeah, it's proven to be good, this TMC doser. I'm dosing, if you go into aquatic log, put in Nath's Reef, you'll see all the parameters for what I'm running when I'm testing it. And if you hover the mouse over each reading, if you see a little dotted line under each reading, it's where I've done something or changed something. So when you go on and you hover the mouse over, say, the first reading temperature, 26 degrees, if there's little lines on it, it means I've done some maintenance on the tank. Hover over that, this is exactly what I've done on that day. You hover the mouse over, say, alkalinity reading, it will say how much I'm dosing per day and whatnot. So yeah, what I'm going to do, 24 minutes in now, just going to go on a little bit on each coral. This pulse coral, by the way, is it wasn't getting out of hand, but it was getting quite large, and I didn't want to get onto the rock, so I sort of pulled loads of it out. Just keeping a check on that. That's not going to take over this tank, that is for sure. What I'm probably going to do is over the next few months, obviously with adding more corals, hopefully everything stays stable and does well, I'll add more SPS corals. But in this corner, what I hope to do is put a nice torch coral, either a frog spawn or torch coral, because these clowns love this little corner, and hopefully they might host. I want these clowns to host something, really. I was hoping they'd host this pulse coral, but I don't think they are. So yeah, I'm going to put a torch coral in there. Where I'm going to put this pulse coral, I don't know. obviously away from the main display of rock. My green GSP is doing really well, and this pale coloured GSP that's sort of naturally coming out of the rock, that's really growing as well now, sort of meeting up with each other. I don't know, win the fight there. I don't know if they're growing together or what, so that'd be interesting. This trumpet coral, toxic trumpet, candy cane, or whatever they call it, that's doing really well, starting to really split new heads slowly but surely. This emerald colour GSP, that's doing really well. It's starting to spread onto the rock actually. It's taken a while, but it's doing well. And this other colony of GSP up here is still expanding and growing. Yeah, I think this tank, on my next update, I'll probably do an update in a couple of weeks' time, it will look very different, because them Mexican turbo snails are really starting to go into town on these rocks. And of course there's nothing better than looking at purple and pink encrusting coralline algae all over the rocks, which a lot of this macroalgae is hiding. Say underneath this one, you just couldn't see the rock for a lot of the macro, and they've just stripped it and it just looks lovely, powdery coralline algae on it. So the tank's doing well, it's evolving exactly how I want it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the video now, and I'm going to do a part 2 and answer all your questions from my last video. Okay, see you in a bit.